Chancellor will be aware that government debt per household is about £65,000. Another name for this debt is deferred taxation. Does the Chancellor agree that the best way to increase tax revenue and reduce our debt is to grow the economy, which is exactly what we are doing? Mr. Speaker, last week in the Chamber, yet again we heard an opposition MP complain that they believe that they should personally be paying far more tax. Can the Minister confirm the mechanism by which anybody can currently voluntarily do exactly that? This attack could have been so much worse. What if a group of schoolchildren playing in the park had been the first to have approached the victims when they were collapsed? Does the Prime Minister therefore share my disgust that the perpetrators of this crime must have known this?
But those who undertook this brazen and despicable act must have known the potential implications.
Tomorrow I'll be holding a debate in Westminster Hall on the issue of grandchildren's access rights to their grandparents. The family dynamic that is all too often overlooked is that between grandparents and their grandchildren. And it's a sad reality that if access to their grandchildren is blocked, some grandparents call this a kind of living bereavement. This week we have seen the start of the Grenfell inquiry, and last week Dame Judith Hackett reported that our building regulations were not fit for purpose. Yet she didn't specifically recommend a ban on inflammable cladding. Can the Prime Minister confirm that nevertheless it is her clear intention to ban inflammable cladding and ensure that another tragedy like Grenfell never happens again? Yes. Today is the summer solstice. You may not be aware, however, that today is also, very sadly, the end of the Great British Asparagus Festival, held largely in my constituency. Does she agree that, of course, the best asparagus in the world comes from the Vale of Evesham? It even has EU-protected status. Can we therefore have a debate in government time to celebrate Great British farming and Great British food produce? Constituents are realistic, sensible and practical lot, and they know, unlike some politicians, that they won't always get 100% of what they want in life, but they do expect their politicians to deliver. And before the referendum, the 58% of my constituents who voted Brexit told me very clearly that what they wanted was control of their borders, control of their laws, an end to freedom of movement, and to stop spending millions of pounds in Europe for reasons that, or billions of pounds that they couldn't really understand. In very simple terms, Secretary of State, will this deal deliver on what my constituents want? Those given paid maternity leave, for example, come back to work with new skills and insights that help the company's bottom line. Does the Minister agree that supporting mothers in the workplace is not only the right thing to do, but it can help and be good for business too? There is a lot to praise in this budget, and I and my constituents particularly welcome the additional, or the confirmation of the additional funding for the NHS, additional money for social care, for infrastructure, broadband, schools, defence, and of course the changes for business rates. But it's not just about the total amount of money being spent, it's about where it's spent and how it's spent. And on this, I believe we have considerable further work to go. And we do know that education, it's not all about money, but it plays such an important role. It is no accident that the top funded places in the country, mainly in London, also had the highest social mobility factors, and the converse, the lowest funded areas of the country were the lowest in terms of social mobility. There's clearly a strong link. It is unfair, and I am glad that the government is taking action and making sure that with the fairer funding formula, we will make changes.
Prime Minister, on behalf of Her Majesty's Government, will lead the political leaders in laying her wreath.
As we come to an end to 2018, I would just like to say a big thank you to everybody who I have worked with and interacted with over the course of the last year, and also thank those who work for our armed forces and emergency services who spend time over the holiday period protecting and looking after us. From my family to yours, I would like to wish all of my constituents a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.